So, who here has been personally victimized by unclear requirements? Oh, whoa, okay, y'all are in the right room. So no offense to documentation, but I have seen Post-it notes with clear requirements than some project specs. I'm Pamela Thomas, and this is a safe space, okay? I'm the founder of Century Analytics, a data consulting firm based here in Dallas. I've been a project manager, a business analyst, a consultant, and a longtime translator of chaos into clarity. I've spent the last 20 years leading IT projects and Salesforce projects from just about every angle, so from a client side, from a consultant side, and a member of the, please don't let this break in front of the VP club. And today I want to walk you through a framework I developed and used on every project to keep things aligned, people engaged, and problems actually solved. I call it Lead Me, and yes, it's an acronym, and no, I won't make you memorize it. By the end of the day, I do think that this is something that you'll wish you had on your last project, and hopefully will be able to use on your future projects. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, so my accent should start to make a little more sense. I graduated from Indiana University 2 months before the Great Recession, so that was fun. I pivoted into insurance. I became an accidental business analyst, and around that time, this new thing called Agile was starting to buzz. My working experience with Salesforce is as a project manager with an implementation consultant out of Pittsburgh. And while the majority of my Salesforce project management experience is viewed through the consulting lens, I do believe that this information applies to all project managers or all projects in the IT space. I've seen some really awesome Salesforce implementations and some really expensive, really swept under the rug failures. So I thought I'd start by making everyone in the room uncomfortable and talk about failure. But don't worry, we're going to talk about this in the context of projects and not performance reviews. Because failure doesn't always look like disaster. It doesn't always mean missed deadlines or blown budgets. Some of the most on-time, on-budget projects I have seen were failing way before go live. So what does failure mean in the context of a project or implementation? Well, it looks like users aren't adopting the system. This is literally the one thing you're trying to avoid. There hasn't been effective change management, if there's been change management at all. Users are refusing to log into the system, or they log in and they get overwhelmed and they just say, screw it. And I don't know about y'all, but I've been there, done that. They have nothing positive to say about the system, and that can kill adoption faster than anything. The business sees no real improvement. So you successfully implemented the system. Some or most of the users have adopted it, yet months later, the needle still isn't moving. KPIs aren't being met. People are asking questions. It's getting hot in here. All these promises that the system will make everything better just fail to materialize. The system doesn't solve the actual problem. So you implemented the system, and all those Excel files it was supposed to replace are suspiciously hidden behind windows on desktops because users feel like they still need them in order to do their work. Teams are exhausted or disengaged. You've created burnout when you were supposed to minimize or eliminate it. And leadership starts asking, so what did we pay for? Today we're going to talk about why that happens and how to fix it by changing how we think about project management in the IT world. So quick question, what is the role of a project manager? Anybody? What do they do? What does a project manager do?
Keep a timeline.
Okay.
Coordinate.
Okay. Anything else? Yep. Okay.
All of the above.
All right, well, okay. So, sorry. What does a project manager not responsible for? What do they not do?
Subject matter expertise.
Okay. Are they supposed to know everything about the technology? Do they just push tasks around in a spreadsheet?
No.
Well, some do. But too often we see PMs as glorified taskmasters. But that's not where the real value lies. So let's reframe this. A great PM is a business strategist. They keep everything tied to the business goal. If it's not aligned with the scope or the outcome, it's a change request or it doesn't happen. Great PMs know how to draw the line in the sand without pissing everyone off, usually. Great PMs are connectors. This one personally is huge for me. I was once voluntold to project manage a small team after their PM abruptly quit. And this was a team of really great developers, BAs, highly skilled architects who I'd worked with individually before, but they had never worked together on a team. Each one brought immeasurable value, but I didn't even know what the project was yet. It became abundantly clear what the problem was. They were each working in silos. The right hand didn't know what the left hand is doing, and it was baffling because I had seen this exact group of people creating amazing things before. Obviously, my first job was to get them talking with each other about the project. After a come to Jesus meeting, a little more context, I realized that the previous PM, while not necessarily a rookie or necessarily a bad PM, was too focused on the processes and the frameworks and deadlines and not on creating cohesion within the dev team. 1 week later, we had our first deliverable. This was after a month of basically pure chaos where everyone was working tirelessly and getting frustrated as hell that nothing was coming together. PMs connect the dots, they keep the communication flowing. Project managers were the liaisons, were the translators, advocates, cheerleaders, therapists, and trust builders. PMs are problem solvers. Not every developer is going to speak up if they're blocked. A good PM knows when to step in, when to remove blockers, rework the backlog, and keep the team moving. When we're in tune with our team, we can also recognize burnout in you before you do. We make adjustments as necessary to ensure team members are getting reprieve whenever possible. And we're drivers of adoption. We're not just talking features, adoption of the system, business value. Training and change management are not optional, they are critical. Thinking beyond delivery to actual value, again, going back to at the end of the project, are we creating positive impact for the organization, or are we just giving them another tool that they're going to abandon? So let's flip it. A PM isn't a glorified taskmaster. Nobody wants to be a slack-chasing checklist cop. Don't get me wrong, I will micromanage you, but we're all adults here. A technical expert. PMs don't need to know how to configure Salesforce. They do need to connect the why to the how, and understanding the tech helps, but it's not the job. We're not the only ones responsible for success. PMs carry the weight, and boy, is it heavy. But if the project fails and the PM is the only one blamed, that's a problem. This is a team sport. And lastly, we are not miracle workers. Well, some of us are. But it's not in our job description to work, to make miracles happen. So, what is the problem? Why is project management broken? Well, too many IT projects or system implementations in general are run like IT installs. You gather requirements, you configure, you test, you go live. But when we treat it like a plug and play app, we miss change management, executive alignment, iterative delivery, user readiness, and long-term value realization. We focus on launching the system and not solving the problem. One way to think about this is one of my favorite analogies. So one way to think about this, imagine believing that remodeling your kitchen will make you a better cook. You picked out the tile, you installed the fancy new appliances, for whatever reason your refrigerator has Wi-Fi, and I mean, it's gorgeous. But the problem wasn't your countertops, It's that no one in the house knows how to cook. You got a 5-figure kitchen and you're still ordering DoorDash. Focusing on launching the system instead of solving the problem is like going through a whole remodel, but the extent of your cooking skills ends at ramen. And I ain't talking that fancy ramen. I'm talking that 25-cent brick that only requires boiling water. The tech is the kitchen, but the value only comes when people actually use it to create something better than before. So the real cost of failure, let's talk real costs, not budget, but impact. Rework, you paid to build it, congrats. Now you're paying to fix it. Lost productivity, users go back to Excel because no one trained them on how the tech actually supports their work or align the system to their business processes. Change fatigue. So one nonprofit I worked with had Salesforce for 10 years and no one touched it. The new CFO finally took ownership, but we spent most of the discovery trying to rebuild trust in the system before we could even start using it. Leadership frustration. No ROI in sight. Budget and buy-in vanish very quickly. And ROI reversal. So those license fees stay steady. That admin effort increases, but users still aren't logging in. That's when your successful go live becomes a costly misfire. We have to stop asking, what are we building, and start asking, what are we solving? I joined a project midstream. The development team was fully engaged, hitting deadlines. The client, disengaged. It turns out that the PM was laser focused on the processes, the time cards, the budget sheets, the roadmap, but had lost the plot. I came in, I reset expectations and refocused everyone on the why. We pivoted from features to outcomes, from delivery to transformation. It's the goal, not delivery, but transformation. We championed the client to lead the direction by giving them decisions to make rather than us making those decisions for them. Then they re-engaged. That's the difference between a good PM and a great one. Good PMs get it done, but great PMs make sure the work matters, the client is receiving value, processes are being streamlined, the needle's moving in the right direction, and the people are ahead of the processes. Without all that, PM processes mean nothing. You can do processes all day and still fail. So common pitfalls. Let's hit the usual suspects. Lack of executive buy-in. If the leadership team isn't aligned, no momentum. If your CTO thinks Salesforce isn't the answer, you're climbing uphill with no shoes. Now in Kentucky, that's acceptable, but I digress. Poor stakeholder engagement. Ever been told on a Monday to start using a brand new system no one ever mentioned before? No training, no documentation, and none of it does what you actually need? I know there's some of y'all in here. Over-customization, building too much too fast with too little strategy. Sure, we can build you all the bells and whistles, but I hope you don't care about performance. Misuse of agile or waterfall. We get so caught up in process, we forget the point is value. In my experience, hybrid methods work best, but just don't overthink it. No clear ownership. Everyone thinks someone else is responsible, and then it breaks, and surprise, it's yours. Misalignment. This is a silent killer. Everyone thinks they're on the same page until go live, when done means 5 different things to 5 different people. How many of you all have ever had an internal meeting where everyone on the dev team believes the feature or project is done, and when you get to the demo, you're unpleasantly surprised when the stakeholders aren't cheering along with you? Again, getting hot in here. So everyone has a love-hate relationship with acronyms, myself included, so I thought I'd give you another one. We're going to reframe IT project management around value and not just delivery. So I created this Lead Me framework. I'm sure most of it will already resonate with you, But for those in the back, I'm gonna say it out loud. Say it out loud, okay? L, lead with business outcomes. Start every deliverables conversation with what problem are we solving and not what feature are we building. On one project, we were asked to build a custom object that mirrored an Excel sheet. Sound familiar? Anyone? Okay, has anyone not had that? After a quick conversation, it turned out the business just needed a better way to track status updates for one team. So we saved hours of dev time by understanding the outcome first and then finding a native solution. E, engage stakeholders early and often. Engagement is not one kickoff call and a training session at the end. It's continuous. I had a project where we included department leads and even some senior leaders in our bi-weekly demos. Not only did they give immediate feedback, wanted and unwanted, they started advocating for the solution internally before we even went live. That is the power of real engagement. Adopt an iterative mindset. Agile, hybrid, whatever the new thing is, if there's a new thing, I have no idea. But just stay flexible. You want to deliver in small, usable pieces and adjust as you go. Drive alignment across teams. I once realized during a stakeholder review that campaign meant something entirely different to IT, sales, and marketing. That 5-minute clarification prevented weeks of confusion and helped us deliver something that actually worked for everyone. Facilitate constant clarity between business, IT, and users, not just in their silos, but together. I'm talking about collaboration. It's important. Just do it, y'all. Just collaborate. Just talk to everybody. Make sure everybody's on the same page. Measure adoption, not just delivery. Go live does not equal done. If no one's using it, guess what? It didn't work. Next time you have a client whose team will only give up Excel over their dead bodies, create the solution in the system, set up a demo or a working session or a training session, and then check in daily with them for a week or two until they start to forget what they even did in Excel in the first place. Measure what matters. And lastly, empower teams with PM skills. Everyone contributes to delivery. Project management isn't just a job title, it is a mindset. Create a routine framework like Scrum that your techs will wish they had in future projects. Better yet, teach them how you created it and empower them to initiate a version of your process that works well for them for those times that they will inevitably be in a project without a project manager. All right, I know, calm down. I know we're coming up on lunch. But before we wrap, I want to say something directly to my fellow project managers and to everyone who works with one. Project managers are not just task drivers. We're translators, connectors, negotiators, diplomats. We're the ones in the middle, reading the room, like I am right now. Adjusting the plan and keeping it together when it all starts to split at the seams. Our biggest asset isn't a spreadsheet. It's situational awareness. It's being able to walk into a meeting, sense the tension, shift the agenda, and keep the project from stalling. It's knowing when to push, when to pivot, and when to pull someone aside for a come to Jesus talk. A great PM doesn't just deliver a project, they keep the team from burning out. They keep the client feeling heard, informed, and excited, and they do it all with one eye on the goal and the other on the humans in the room. If you walk away with one thing today, let it be this: project management isn't about tasks, it's about trust. And when we do it right, we don't just hit deadlines, we build relationships that lead to the actual real transformation. I'm Pamela Thomas. Thank you so much for being here and listening to something I'm really passionate about. Feel free to connect with me after the session or any of these QR codes. You can find me everywhere or look for the hat. I'd love to keep the conversation going.